So we were just talking about writing an expression that gives you all the angles that are coterminal with a given one. So we use 72 as an example. So 72 plus 360n. N is any integer. Remember, integers are positive, negative whole numbers. That would get you all angles in the whole wide world coterminal with 72. Okay, on to this word problem. Let's try this. It says, a wheel makes 270 revolutions per minute. Through how many degrees will a point on the edge of the wheel move in 5 seconds? So, can you imagine this scenario? So I have some wheel, right? So here's the ground. I have a wheel. And I'm going to put a point on this wheel. Let's just assume it's the point that's touching the bottom right now. This wheel is going to turn, so it's going to move 270 times in a full minute. It's going to spin around. I want to know, how far does this point move in 5 seconds? So in 5 seconds, where will this point now be? Well, this sounds like a super complicated, crazy question, but it's not that bad if you know how to break it down. Okay, here's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to start with 270 revolutions per minute, and I'm going to write that as a fraction. I'm trying to figure out in 5 seconds where I'm going to end up, right? So check this out. I'm going to start off by writing 270 revolutions in 1 minute. So whatever information I'm given, I usually like to start off with that as a fraction. Now, I'm trying to figure out how many degrees this is going to go through in 5 seconds. So one thing I need to do is I need to change minutes into seconds, right? Okay, so I'm going to multiply this by another fraction. This other fraction, I'm going to have it the equivalency between minutes and seconds. Isn't 1 minute equal to 60 seconds? Right? Now, have you guys taken chemistry? Raise your hand if you have not taken chemistry. Okay. Those of you that have, or maybe you've done it in another science class, something called dimensional analysis, where you kind of are changing your units. I don't know, maybe you have done it, maybe you haven't. I don't know. Here's what I can do. Can't you take any value and multiply it by 1 and you haven't changed its value? Right? Okay. 60 seconds and 1 minute. They're the same thing, aren't they? So if I put 1 minute on top and 60 seconds on the bottom, would you all agree? Let me zoom in because this is a little, in the afternoon the sun gets a little too bright. Okay, so wouldn't you agree that this fraction right here is really just 1? If you have the same exact thing on top and bottom, like 5 over 5 or 15 over 15, isn't that just 1? So in this case, I have 1 minute and 60 seconds. They are the same thing. So I'm just multiplying my 270 revolutions over 1 minute by 1. So I'm not changing its value right here. But watch what happens, okay? Look what happens with the minutes. You have minutes on the bottom and minutes on the top that are going to cancel. So if I do this math, now I have revolutions per second. So I'm getting closer, right? Revolutions per second. Now, I don't want revolutions per second though. I want degrees per second. So I need to change revolutions into degrees. Think about this. Look at the wheel. If it does 1 revolution, how many degrees is that? 360, exactly. So 1 revolution and 360 degrees are the same thing. So I'm going to multiply by another fraction. But now watch this. Since I have revolutions on top, I'm going to want it to cancel with revolutions on the bottom. So I'm going to put 1 revolution on the bottom, 360 degrees on top. Do you see that? Does that make sense? Do you kind of remember doing something like this in chemistry? It was just with different stuff, like atomic weight and grams and mass and all that stuff. So now check it out. Revolutions and revolutions cancel out. Look at the units I'm in now. I'm in degrees per second. That's pretty cool. I'm almost there, but they wanted to know in 5 seconds, right? So all I have to do now is times it by 5 seconds. And I will get my final answer. So let me zoom out so I can get one more. They want it in 5 seconds, so I'll just times it by 5 seconds over 1. Seconds will cancel with seconds, and I'm left with degrees, exactly what I wanted. So now I just do all the math. So let's do, I need a calculator. 270 times 1 times 360 times 5 gets me 486,000 in my numerator, and then my denominator is just 60 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. So just divide by 60, and there's my answer, 8,100 degrees. Does that kind of make sense? All right. I want to do one more example one before I give you your homework, if that's okay, because these can be a little weird. So let's do kind of the same scenario, but let's say a wheel makes, I don't know, about 400 revolutions per minute. Per minute. How many degrees will a point on the edge move in, give me a number, 3 seconds. Okay, so you have this wheel. It's spinning at 400 revolutions per minute. So every minute it has spun around 400 times. I want to know in 3 seconds how many degrees did this point on the edge of the wheel go through. All right, same sort of scenario, 400 revolutions per minute. We're going to start with that. Go ahead and see, try not to look at the example we just did. See if you can take 400 revolutions per 1 minute and see if you can change the pieces into what you need. You want degrees per second, and then you also want 3 seconds. Take a minute, try not to look. Once you get your answer, go ahead and take a look and just verify that your setup is pretty similar to mine. You could have one thing swapped. You could have changed the revolutions to degrees first before changing minutes to seconds. That doesn't really matter. You just need to change them both at some point. So hopefully, if you have this, and then I always like to verify that all my units work out. You can't be lazy and not write the units with stuff like this. Believe me, I am super lazy, and I know that I need to write them because you need to be able to keep track of everything. So revolutions cancels with revolutions. Good. Minute cancels with minute. Seconds cancel with seconds. The only unit I have left is degrees, which is exactly what I want. Right? My question is how many degrees? So my answer should just be degrees. So the units help you out immensely. Okay? And now I just do the math. So 400 times 360 times 3, I get a numerator 432,000, and then on the bottom I just have 60, so just divide those two. 7,200 degrees. Is that okay? All right? Okay, so I'm going to give you your homework. It is out of the textbook. But again, you can leave your textbook at home. So here it is. Page 8 to 9. 73 to 105 odd. Oops. Okay, it looks like a lot, but it's not that bad. And I'm giving you 15 minutes to start right now. Hold on. I will also put this on Google Classroom. You guys are more than welcome to work together right now if you'd like.